Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Arjuna Vacha Sanyasasya Mahabaho Tattvamicami Veditim Tyagasya Chardashikesha Pratakesi Nisidana.
Arjuna said, O mighty armed one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, Tyaga, and of the renounced order of life, Sannyasa, O killer of the Keshi demon, master of the senses.
Sri Bhagavan Vacha Kamayanam Karmanam Nyasam Sanyasam Kavayo Viduhu Sarvakarma Phalatyagam Prausyagam Vichakshanaha.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up of material activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyasa, and giving up the result of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga.
Tyajam dosha vaditiyeka karma prahur manishinaha yagnadana tapaha karma natyajamiti chapare.
Some learned men declare that all kinds of fruitive activities should be given up as faulty, yet other sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned.
Nishchayam shrinu me tatra tyage bharata satama tyago hi purusha vyagra trividaha sampakiditaha.
O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of three kinds.
Yagnadana tapaha karma natyajam karyameva tat yagnodanam tapascheva pavanani manishinam.
Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up, they must be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls.
Etania pitu karmani samgyam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani me parta nishtam matamutamam.
All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pritha. That is my final opinion.
Nietasya tu sanyasaha karma nopapadyate mohatasya parityagas tamasaha parikirita.
Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
Dukamityeva yat karma kayaklesheva yat yajat sakritva rajasam tyagam naivatyaga phalam labet.
Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear or bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation.
Karyamityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna samgam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyagaha satviko mataha.
O Arjuna, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit of his renunciation, is said to be in the mode of goodness.
Narveshtiya kushalam karma kushalena anushajite tyagi sattva samavishto medavichin samshayaha.
The intelligent renouncer is situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work.
Nahi deha brita shakyam tyaktum karmani sheshataha yastu karma phala tyagi satyagitya.
It is indeed impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, but he who renounces the fruits of action is called one who is truly renounced.
Anishtam ishtam mishram cha shrividam manaha phalam bhavati yatyaginam pratya natu sanyasinam kvachit.
For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable and undesirable and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such result to suffer or enjoy.
Panchaitani Mahabaho Karanani Bodhame Sankhyakrutante Bhaktani Sidaya Sarvakarmana.
O mighty armed Arjuna, according to the Vedanta, there are 5 causes for the accomplishment of all action. Now learn of these from me.
Adhishtanam Tata Karta Karanam Cha Pratakshashta Adhishtanam Tata Karta Karanam Cha Pratakvidam Vividascha Pratakshashta.
The place
Krishna, Yash, we lost you, Yash. I think you got muted towards the end. Could you repeat that verse 14 for us again, please?
Sorry. Adhishtanam Tata Karta Karanam Cha Pratakvidam Vividascha Pratakshashta Devam Chevatra Panchamam.
the place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately the super soul. These are the 5 factors of action.
Sharira Vanmano Peryat Karma Parabhate Naraha Nyayam Vabi Paditam Va Panchete Tasya Hetavaha.
Whatever right or wrong action a man performs by body, mind, or speech is caused by these 5 factors.
Tatrevam Sadhikataram Atmanam Kevalam Tuyaha Pashyati Akrita Buddhitvan Sapashyati Durmatihi.
Therefore, one who thinks himself the only doer, not considering the 5 factors, is certainly not very intelligent and cannot see things as they are.
Yasya Nahankrito Bhavo Buddhir Yasya Nalipite Papisa Iman Lokan Nahanti Nanebad.
One who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions.
Yash, sorry, Yash. Hare Krishna, Yash. Hare Krishna. Yash. Yes, Yash, we are having some. I think is it the internet connection or what's happening is when you're reciting, it's coming out very, very like it's as like the voice is expanding. I don't know if it is me. Is anybody else is experiencing the same or?
Probably
Yes, Prabhu.
Oh,
Yes,
okay, all right.
yeah.
So let's try this, Yash, and see. Recite the verse, and we'll see. Maybe there's some technical issue somewhere.
Okay. Which verse were we on again?
Text 17.
Okay, thank you. Yashina Hankrito Bhavo Buddhir Yasya Nalipkite Hapapisa Eman Lokan Nahanti Nanebadyate.
one who is not motivated by false ego, whose intelligence is not entangled, though he kills men in this world, does not kill, nor is he bound by his actions.
We have lost you, Yash. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Hare Krishna. We are not able to hear you properly, Yash.
Can you hear me better over here?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry about that.
Text 18.
Yanam Gayam Parigyata Trivida Karma Chodana Karanam Karma Karteti Trividaha Karma Sangrahaha.
Knowledge, the object of knowledge, and the knower are the 3 factors that motivate action. The senses, the work, and the doer are the three constituents of action.
Jnanam karma cha karta cha trideva guna vedataha prachite guna sankanya yasavashrinutanya.
According to the three modes of material nature, there are three kinds of knowledge: action and performer of action. And I hear them from me.
Sarvabhuteshu yanekam bhavam avyayamikshite avibhaktam vibhakteshu tadgyanam vidisarvikam.
That knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness.
Adu yajganam nana bhavan pitagvidam veti sarveshu bhuteshu tadgyanam rajasam.
That knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion.
Yatu Krishna vadekas.
Hare Krishna, Yash, we have lost you again. What I don't know what's happening, but your
Hare Krishna, can you hear me better here?
we can, but automatically your profile is going on mute. So I'm not quite sure if there is some kind of an issue there because try it now.
Okay. Jatu Krishna vadekas karya satkama heitukam tatvada vadapam cha tatamasa mudaritam.
And that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all-in-one, or that knowledge of the truth, and which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness.
Nitam sangarahitam argad veshatha kritam afala prepsuna karma yatat sati kamuchite.
That action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire for fruitful results is said to be in the mode of goodness.
Yatu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulayasam tat rajasam udaritam.
An action performed with great effort by one seen to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion.
Anubandam kashyam himsam anapeksha chaparusham mohadarbhayate karma yatatama samuchite.
That action performed in illusion in disregard of scriptural injunctions and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance.
That's thank you so much. Just before you all leave, maybe it will always be nice, especially for the reciters, if they can switch on their videos. So maybe we can have the video on, Balram, so everybody can see you, because a lot of the devotees have not met you, and Yash as well. I'm sure Yash everybody knows. He's a wonderful learned devotee from our community who's been reciting the verses. We can see him. And Sridham is there next to Balram. So Balram is a very wonderful child who's practicing Krishna consciousness for many years under the able guidance of his wonderful parents. So we have had the privilege where Balram Prabhu has moved in into the same building where we live in Palm Court. For some time, we will have his association. In fact, just a few hours of his association today, I'm feeling very uplifted actually. So Balram, maybe you can just unmute yourself and give a little bit of an introduction about your name, which school you go to, and anything you want to share about yourself.
Okay, my name is Bolaram and I go to Kia Boys. I don't know what to say.
Okay, thank you, Balram. That's fine. Thank you so much. So thank you, Yash, Sridham, and Balram for this wonderful recitation today.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, you're on mute.
Thank you so much. I was just thanking all of you, and I was saying that we are trying to encourage as many children as possible so they can also get an opportunity to recite the verses. So Santosh Mataji came up with this wonderful idea, at least during the school time, if we can have a week dedicated when every time there is a holiday where we can have children coming forward and reciting the verses and taking turn. Um, that would be really nice. So we're going to try to do that now. Mataji is working on the rota, and we will have more children coming and participating in this wonderful activity, which actually Prabhupada personally wrote in a letter twice to two different disciples. And one letter clearly stated that I want all my students to at least read one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. And it is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam that the instruction of the spiritual master is the manifestation of the internal potency of the Lord, as I mentioned a few times. So it's a very powerful instruction. When a spiritual master gives something, with it also comes empowerment. And that empowerment really then allows us to take full advantage of whatever instruction that is by following it, not only by having the benefit, but actually really feeling a sense of upliftment and a sense of encouragement and a sense of motivation in our spiritual life. So what a great way to do that by reciting a chapter of Bhagavad Gita. I'm sure all of you are testimonies to this process of chanting a chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day. It has become part of your DNA now, if I'm not mistaken. How do you all feel, by the way, of reciting the Bhagavad Gita? Do you feel your life is still the same as it was maybe a year ago when we were not reciting a chapter every day? So maybe we can have some reflections. Any devotee like to share how they feel after a year? We are almost about to finish. We started in April, and we will be completing an year. I can see Jyoti Mataji is quite eager to share something. She unmuted. So go ahead, Jyoti Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, I feel very, very blessed. I feel so happy. You know, since I started listening and joining chat, like every day, I just wait for this hour, for this moment. I literally wait, when will 7:40 come and I will log in. It's so much, I've got to learn so much from all of you, and it's helped me develop like my knowledge and my experience, my prayers. I've got to learn so much. It's really, I just love it.
Hi, that's beautiful. Thank you, Jyoti Mataji. I guess it is a very profound way to stay close to Srila Prabhupada books, because in the association, you get a lot of encouragement. And what really moves us, His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj shared a quote which I came across today. Do I have my phone nearby? Actually, I don't. But the quote was very much about love. Love really means taking responsibility, Maharaj says. And when we take responsibility in Krishna consciousness, then that really pushes us to push the boundaries and really go out of our comfort zone, you know. And I like the saying Gaur Gopal Prabhu once shared in the Wales retreat, which we used to have, and we haven't had that privilege. He said that those who are convenience driven, they are experience deprived. So the point I'm making is because Jyoti Mataji, not only that you are so enthusiastic about coming to chat and you're finding the benefit, but a lot of your progress is also coming because having taken a small, well, I would say not small, but a big responsibility of recording these wonderful recordings of the various other devotees and sharing that on YouTube and making it available. Ultimately, what you're doing is you're serving Srila Prabhupada in popularizing the most popular edition of Bhagavad Gita as it is all over the world. And many times I have met devotees who have gone onto YouTube looking for something, and they've landed up, they searched for a word, but drastically enough, the word brought them to a particular verse in Bhagavad Gita or a video. And after hearing the video, their life has never been the same. So the service you're doing, and many other devotees like doing the rotas, many Matajis who are involved here, and each one of you are in some way or other contributing to the mission of Srila Prabhupada. And this responsibility is which is sustaining us, which is helping us move closer to Krishna, because we can happily take the responsibility of our sadhana and do well. And at the same time, we may become complacent at some point. But when we take the responsibility, we become super conscious that, well, I'm not just a person who's hearing or reading, but I'm taking a service. And let me do whatever sincerity I can do this service. And that service it is that sincerity which then brings more service to us, which brings more empowerment of our acharyas, and ultimately absorbs our mind. Because if you think of it, every time you engage in a practical service, which is including your chanting, reading, hearing, cooking, all the various other activities, daily worshipping, all these activities which are backed up by many other services we take, they are the via medium to keep our mind very positively engaged in Krishna consciousness. So that is the real essence actually of Krishna consciousness. You see, Srila Prabhupada gave us a very complete formula. He could have given the books and said, just read and perfect your life, which we can, and that's enough. But he knows that in this age, we are so dull-minded that we need stimulation. You know, human being needs stimuli. They need have excitement. For excitement, Prabhupada gave us kirtan, you know, which obviously we haven't had a chance to dance so much, and hopefully very soon we will have that opportunity if the lockdown gets lifted. And I shared my personal experience with all of you when I was in Vrindavan, attending my first Bhagavatam class in a year in the temple among the devotees. And I felt, oh my God, what is it that I've been deprived with? And I took that for granted. Bhaktivedanta Manor was 19 minutes drive and 6.7 miles away from where I live. And I only went once, or sometime even not once in a week, to hear a Bhagavatam class when Sutapa Prabhu and other devotees were speaking. What a wretched soul I am, you know. And this is exactly what's going through my mind. And now look at this. This opportunity has been taken away from me, and I've not had this opportunity for a year. And now again, by some good fortune, I have the privilege to hear the Bhagavatam in the best place in the world, sitting in Krishna Balram Hall, where Srila Prabhupada delivered so many classes. He walked that place. He left his body in that place. And I was thinking, wow, you know, I'm so grateful to Prabhupada that please lift the lockdown and let us experience the magic of being among the devotees. And I was reminded by the very beautiful teaching of His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Maharaj, where one time giving a class at Bhaktivedanta Manor, Maharaj was saying, somebody asked a question, or it was directly coming from Maharaj, that I believe he asked the question, what is the difference between hearing a lecture online and versus coming in person and sitting in the class? And Maharaj said something so sweet and so lovingly and with such simplicity that it really touched my heart. He said, when you're sitting in the class, you look at to your left and you call out a name of a devotee and you know the devotee and you see, oh, okay, Krishna Govinda Prabhu or Vrindavan Chand Prabhu or Mukunda Hari Prabhu is also sitting there. Then you look at to your right and then you see, oh wow, Bharat Prabhu is also sitting there. Deepak Prabhu is also sitting there. That's amazing, you know. And then you think, I'm feeling so happy that I have association with these wonderful souls and I'm hearing Bhagavatam. So what you get is you get encouragement and inspiration being in the physical presence of the devotees, hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam or any class of based on the scriptures coming in the Gauriya Madhav Sampradaya. So sorry to having drilled on this point for longer, but service is what my Gurudev says, that your seva will save ya. You know, he says it in such a beautiful American accent, you know, your seva will save ya. So your seva will save us, you know, our service to our Guru Parampara will definitely save us. Any other reflections and realization before we go on to our today's text? Is a smaller text, but we have few points which I think 15 minutes should be enough, and then we'll have come back on reflections. So any other reflections from Chad? I have some messages here. Listen. Here we go. Dev Kishan Prabhu is saying, my knowledge and understanding has expanded substantially and everything is due to the seniors. Forever grateful for your association and will remember COVID in a positive light. Hare Krishna. Wow, what a profound realization. Thank you, Prabhu. I feel the same. You know, that what a great opportunity of taking the advantage of the technology and using it in Krishna's service and expanding the Sankirtan movement through the transcendental vibration of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Thank you, Prabhu. That was very profound and very, very, very touching. Yes, it's a great opportunity to have association of all of you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hey, Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dhanvan Pranam. Prabhuji, yeah, it's transformed our lives, definitely. And the best thing is that because the baseline information on Bhagavad Gita has now been so deep and such wonderful realizations, that it's helping me understand and relish Srimad Bhagavatam more and Chaitanya Charitamrita more, because it's almost like that cascading effect that you developing, that ripple effect from understanding Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And then it's a good foundation. It's given us that wonderful foundation in which we can build on other scriptures like Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So yes, I think life won't be the same after COVID finishes and maybe you stop doing these sessions. I don't know. But yeah, thank you so much, all of you, for doing this for us. Wonderful service.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mataji. I have a couple more messages here. I have Jyoti Mataji saying these recordings will stay for life on YouTube and so many people will be able to find and hear them and get blessed. Yes, Mataji. Saroj Mataji saying great opportunity for me as well as I live 390 miles from the temple. Hari Bol. Thank you, Saroj Mataji. I pray to Srila Prabhupada that those 390 miles become, maybe just about less than 9 miles one day for you, and then you could live closer to the temple. But until then, you can stay connected with the vibration, manner.media. And now especially Manner has started lectures from various senior devotees who are tuning in from all over the world to give us their association. So everything has its own way. And an aspiring devotee should always look at it in a way that what advantage can I take of this situation actually. So it's really, really nice. And what you said, Hema Mataji, yes, it has helped all of us, including the ones who are facilitating, at least I can speak for myself, to go deeper in our understanding while we read the verses in the purport, put some points together and try to assimilate what our acharyas are saying, especially what Prabhupada is trying to share, and bring it out with our own limited experience and try to expand that conversation with all of you has been really very, very helpful. And this is the mood of the devotees, when the Lord says something, the devotees want to hear, Tushanticha, Ramanticha, they take great pleasure in discussing with each other. And that's why we see in our line when the Lord descends in this world, either directly or himself or through his devotee, he sends many other devotees, to take part. Like I was hearing, I'll mention this small point and ask a question to all of you. I'll ask two questions. Obviously, let me ask you the first question. In the pastimes of Lord Ram, who was Hanuman? Does anybody know who was Hanuman? Whose incarnation was he? As in, like, who wanted to take part as Hanuman in that Ram Leela? Which personality? According to the Valmiki Ramayana.
Lord
Lord
Shiva.
Shiva Prabhu.
Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva, that's right. Right.
There was a Rudra, 11 Rudra.
Yeah, so that's beautiful. Now, let me ask you next question. Do you know if Lord Shiva came, but do you know if Parvati came as well in Ramayana?
Yes.
And how did it come, Kanta Mataji?
This is the story I have heard when they Ramchandra ji were looking for Sita ji.
Mm-hmm.
And then Parvati Mataji thought that it can't be God, because he is just crying like that for Sita Mata. That's what I heard. Then she came to examine the Ramchandra ji. Then Ramchandra ji just gave her, obeisances. He said, Pranam Mataji, how come you are here? That's how I...
Yes, that's definitely a pastime where she appeared. And I mean, her intervention was there. But anybody else know of Parvati being there in Ramayana apart from this pastime?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
I think Lord Shiva related the Ramayana to her.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes, absolutely. But let me tell you a secret, which I don't know how many of you know this. Smita Mataji is going to reveal that biggest secret for us. Go ahead, Mataji.
I may be totally wrong, but I think she came as Hanuman's tail.
Hari Bol! You got it right, Smita Mataji. Wonderful. Amazing. That is a little detail for us. So Lord Shiva and Parvati cannot be separated. Same as Hanuman, Lord Hanuman, and his tail can't be separated. So the tail appeared as Parvati because when she was with Lord Shiva, she left. And Lord Shiva was meditating on the pastimes of Lord Ram, and she just returned back. And Lord Shiva had a beautiful smile on his face. And Mother Parvati said, "My dear Prabhu, please tell me, what are you relishing?" She said, "My dear Parvati, I'm super duper excited because I'm just about to descend on the planet Earth and take part in the pastimes of my Prabhu, Lord Ram. And I have the privilege of being a Hanuman as a devotee." And the Parvati said, how can you be so cruel that you can just think of going yourself? Let me come with you and let me become your tail. So hence she became the tail of Hanuman and constantly stayed with Lord Shiva actually. So my point was that, you see, when the Lord is descending or the scriptures are descending or the devotees are coming, everybody feels so empowered and excited. All devatas are asked to come down and take birth in the different families in Braj or in the different leelas. So it's a very opportune moment for all the devotees and a very exciting time, for them to take part in different pastimes. So we also have this privilege that these scriptures are sacred, revealed scriptures, which are very much there, and we can take full advantages and take them as to be a live literature in our life. So on that note, I'm going to go on to today's verse, because I don't want to end today without the verse of the Bhagavad Gita. So it's the text 12, which we will be discussing. We'll have a little background from text 11 to bring things in context. Anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividham karmana phalam bhavati atyaginam pretya natu sanyashinam kvachit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. For one who is not renounced, the threefold fruits of action, desirable, undesirable, and mixed, accrue after death. But those who are in the renounced order of life have no such results to suffer or enjoy. Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness acting in knowledge of his relationship with Krishna is always liberated. Therefore, he does not have to enjoy or suffer the results of his acts after death. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the theme of this particular verse...
Hare Krishna, wasn't this 18.12 was done by Divya Gorangi Mataji?
Was it 12 done by her or was it 11 done by her?
I think she said 12, wasn't it?
Oh, she did it 12? Oh, then, hang on a minute. PG.
Yes, Prabhuji, she did 12.
She did 12. Okay, well, right.
It would be nice. You can repeat.
Yeah, I guess I have no choice because I haven't prepared for text 13. So my apologies about that. We can definitely try to read text 13 and read the purport and see if I have any reflections on that. So let's try to do. So 11, quick recap, defines true renunciation and declares it impossible to give up all activities completely. The focus in this particular text, if you remember, was about true renunciation to perform only religious duties without attachment to the fruits. And the example was given by Prabhupada. Many members of ISKCON work very hard in their office and whatever they earn, they give it to the society. Such highly elevated souls are actual sannyasis. This is the real meaning of renouncing the results of the fruit or the activity which we do and dedicating it for furthering Krishna consciousness. And there were 2 points from the purport. It is impossible for an embodied being to give up all activities, and prescribed duty should never be renounced. So that was a quick recap from text 11. Let's have a quick look at the link between text 11 and 12. This verse answers the question, what about the reaction which comes from the work as prescribed in text 8.9 and 11? So that's the connection. And text 12, the theme is, although the various good and bad reactions result from religious duties, one who works without desires for these fruits is not subject to them. He becomes liberated from all threefold reactions, desirable, undesirable, and mixed. So what happens to such a person? He becomes completely liberated from these so-called three reactions which we are always faced with, which is desirable, undesirable, and mixed. And that's the stage one should aspire to in life, to come to a platform where we can really get rid of these three kind of conditioning, which are desirable, undesirable, and mixed. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that the so-called auspiciousness and inauspiciousness of this world have only one meaning, that is misery. That because immediately after the so-called material auspiciousness follows up with the inauspiciousness. So the only thing which is auspicious is Krishna consciousness. So when you take to the process of Krishna consciousness, then all our bad reactions or the bad works, they get completely eradicated or completely uprooted at heart, actually. There is a beautiful verse which comes in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 6th canto, when Srila Sukadeva Goswami was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj about the glorification of the holy name. And this is in the 6th canto, 3rd chapter, 21st verse, where Srila Sukadeva Goswami was saying, Tasmat Sankirtano Vishnur, Tasmat Sankirtano Vishnur, Jagan Mangalam Amasham, Mahatman Api Kauravya, Mahatman Api Kauravya, Mahatman Api Kauravya, Vidhi Ekantikam Nishkritam. So the meaning of this verse is that Sukadeva Goswami is saying, my dear king, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord actually uproots the propensity or the greatest sins one has actually ever committed in his life. That is the potency. And then he goes on to say, therefore, the chanting of the chanting of the Sankirtan moment is the most auspicious activity in the entire world. Mangalam, it's the most auspicious activity. And then not only that, look at, this verse, when I read, I just felt that, some verses, all the verses you read are of course meant for us, but some, they directly stick onto you saying, oh my God, this is Sukadeva Goswami directly talking to me and trying to uplift me from the darkness of ignorance and bringing me to the transcendental platform. And the last line of this verse, he says that, please try to understand this so that others can take it seriously. I think that's the, yes, please try to understand this so that others can take seriously. Just that line, don't you think it is so much talking to us that, of course, he's talking to Parikshit Maharaj, and we should definitely, because all those instructions are meant for us. But here he's adding an extra emphasis. He's saying, Parikshit Maharaj, please, you take it seriously so others can take it seriously. And please understand it clearly so that others can take it seriously. So it's a very nice way of these acharyas to drive a particular point home in a way which really, makes, and that's why the holy name is the real essence of this Sankirtan moment. Is this Sankirtan moment which has been inaugurated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So these are some points on the purport. It explains the result achieved after death by both attached and the detached people. The attached person has to suffer or enjoy the threefold reactions of the material existence. But the detached person does not have to suffer or enjoy the results of the three reactions. This is the difference, you see. Anyone who's attached to the results of his activities will have to, unfortunately, go through the threefold reactions, which we just looked at in this world. And sometimes carry on that karmic reaction to the next life and yet carry on suffering that. And the result for somebody who's detached, he doesn't have to worry of those three results. And then the point is, Krishna conscious person is always liberated anybody who takes Krishna consciousness, he's always, always liberated. For him, there is no question of conditioning. He is so, so wonderfully situated that he's all the time meditating to see how I can be of service. What is it that I can do or say which will please my Lord, which will please my spiritual master? Well, how can I help expand the Sankirtan movement to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? These are the thoughts. And Rupa Goswami explains this in the third verse of Nectar of Instruction very, very precisely. And he gives it in the verse, he says, one of the symptoms of a devotee is, apart from following what he had earlier spoken about Vachavegam, Manasakrodhavegam, is that such a person is all the time thinking how to expand Krishna consciousness movement. That's the symptom of a very, very advanced, highly advanced devotee. So when we hear, that's what happens to somebody who's stated in that consciousness. I gave an example of Hanuman, earlier. Look at the state of consciousness Hanumanji had towards Lord Ram, towards Lakshman. And what amazing kind of dedication he had, that he was constantly thinking from the first ever meeting which he had with Lord Ram and Lakshman just before taking them to Kishkinda to arrange the alliance between Sugriva and the Lord, so that Sugriva could help the Lord in finding the Sita and Lord could help Sugriva in getting his kingdom back from his brother Bali. And during that first pastime when Lord Ram meets, and Lord Ram and Lakshman meets, obviously Hanuman was disguised as a sadhu or a saint. And after he realizes this is my Lord, he immediately comes and takes his original form. And there, in the first very meeting when he takes them to Kishkinda to meet Sugriva, immediately what happens is when Sugriva greets them, meets them, Hanuman could see that the behavior of Sugriva, he's feeling, why is Sugriva not understanding? He's speaking and standing in front of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, my Nath, Sri Ram. He's the Nath of the whole world. So he's already thinking and watching out the behavior of another person. And then what happens is when Sugriv meets, he from the nearest tree, he pulls out a branch to make Lord Ram and Lakshman sit on that branch. And as he pulls down that branch, actually to make Lord Ram sit. So he asks Lord Ram, please sit down. Lord Ram sits, and then immediately Sugriv decides to sit on the other side of the same branch, which was laid out beautifully. And then even Lord Ram certainly sees that Lakshman has not been given a place to sit. And Hanuman for sure notices it. And then Hanuman slips off another branch, which is explained by Valmiki ji in his Ramayana, that branch which Hanuman pulled out was much more beautiful and much more nicer. And it laid out so beautifully. And Hanuman asked that, please sit down, to Lakshman. And when Lakshman takes a seat, obviously Sugriva is seeing that, Hanuman is seeing like how Sugriva can sit on the same seat as Lord Ram. So you see, the point I'm trying to bring here is that a devotee of the Lord is constantly thinking, how can I be having my Lord in such a position where I can constantly glorify him, where I can spread his glories all the time, where I can become very, very dear to him. And when he makes a mistake, because Hanuman felt guilty that he made alliance of Sugriv with Lord Ram during that whole pastime, his great Shubha Vilas Prabhu, a genius, another genius from India, he explains this in his lecture. And he was saying that after that meeting, Hanuman was feeling a pain, and even Lord Ram notices a subtle nuance there of Hanuman. So what happens is for the 4 months, from the time of meeting Sugriva till the time when Sugriva had decided, after being reminded of his promise and being pulled out of his kingdom because he had started to enjoy, Sugriva made 4 armies, and he decided to send one army to the south of India. And in the south of India, the leader was Hanuman, supported very closely by Angat, and there was one more person, Angat, and who was this? Jambavan. So these 2 personalities was in the yatra, the South Indian yatra, as we call it, marching towards the south. So just as the yatras were about to take off, Lord Ram asked for Hanuman. And in that moment when Hanuman was asked to come, he immediately felt that my Lord hasn't asked me to see me for 4 months. And now I'm so privileged that Lord Ram has asked to invite me. And in the heart, he knew that, okay, it has taken 4 months for my Lord, to think of me because of the offense I made or the way I acted. And similarly, when Lord Ram called him, the first thing, because Lord is so merciful, and especially Lord Ram, he said, my dear Hanuman, I know that if of all the monkey warriors, if there is one person who can find Sita, it is you. And that's why I've called you to give you this ring so you can show it to Mother Sita. So the point I'm trying to make, that the devotee is all the time thinking in the state of Krishna consciousness that how can I be of service? What should be my right mood? What will please my Lord? So his meditation really, really becomes, what is the best way for me to serve the Lord? Therefore, he does not have to suffer or enjoy the results of his acts. So in that consciousness, who will have to suffer or enjoy the results of the acts of death? So in conclusion, we should note that in this verse, Krishna has again used both the words sannyas and tyaga to emphasize that they are synonymous. Thus, Krishna has again established that the superior method of becoming free from the reactions to work in nishkama karma, renouncing the fruits of work, not the work itself. You see, we have to work. Did Hanuman not work? Did he, after he was reminded, did he not fly over the ocean? Did Arjuna not work after being reminded of what is the right consciousness to be operating in? Did Srila Prabhupada not work? Did he not do any activity? He did. He traveled. He traveled extensively all around the world in all the places. And he did all these activities. So we see that for us, we have to act. The nature of the soul is to be very active. So we have to be very active and try to spread Krishna consciousness as much as possible. At the same time, we are trying to practice and experience it for ourselves. So unfortunately, we couldn't go to text 13 today. It's 8:35. So maybe we can conclude here. I'm sorry, I beg forgiveness because I think there was a day gap yesterday. And for some reason, although I saw the last video, I normally check, I made a mistake. So please forgive me that I was not able to continue on the text 13. And you had to live with the text 12 for the second time with me today.
We have more information, Prabhu. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Bhagavati Mataji. So if anybody has any reflections or any comments or any questions from today's session, then feel free to ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Just a question. The bit you said Krishna conscious person is always liberated.
Yes, Mataji.
So in the Nectar of Devotion, there is a sentence where it's describing pure devotees, and it says the pure devotee does not want, or devotee does not want any of the 5 types of liberation. How does that relate to this then?
So Mataji, Prabhupada has spoken about liberation in many different places. So my understanding of this particular verse is that the liberation which is referred here is really a liberation from the pangs of the material miseries, Mataji, which comes as a natural reciprocation of following the process of devotional service, because that is the first element which happens. Because if you are not getting affected by those 3 reactions which we have discussed, which were desirable, undesirable, and mixed, that means you are already on the liberated platform, Hima Mataji. And this particular verse is emphasizing that particular element very, very clearly. And the reason being is that it is talking about a person who is, what is the position of somebody who's liberated? So a person who's liberated is actually above these 3 disturbances. And from that level of liberation comes many other liberations one can achieve actually. But from there on, we hear of another different 5 kinds of liberation, Sayujya, Samipya, all these different liberation. But more importantly, Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has emphasized us that, like we hear that famous verse that even if the liberation, for such a person who's attained the transcendental platform, liberation is standing with a, with the folded hands on the doorstep of such a person. So that liberation is referred to a liberation like what Prabhupada then later on talks about is pure devotional service, which surpasses all these 5 levels. But in this particular case, it is only referring, in my understanding, is the liberation which one immediately gets after reaching that platform. That means you're completely liberated from the threefold miseries. They do not affect you anymore.
Right. Okay. So it's at a different material level and spiritual. Is it transcendental level? That's the difference.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
Okay. 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 Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji. Anyone has any other points or questions? I hope all of you are taking advantage of Gaur Purnima festival, which is coming on 28th of March. For Gaudiya Vaishnavas, Janmashtami is nice. It's beautiful. But nicer than Janmashtami is Gaur Purnima, because our Ishtadev is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu makes the path of approaching Krishna very, very accessible for us, and he shows us the way of how you can attain that love of Godhead or love of Krishna actually. So we celebrate Gaur Purnima with even more pomp and joyfulness as much as we could do with Janmashtami actually. And in order to do that, the best way is to spread the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So please, if you can, try to, tomorrow there is a beautiful session by Rameshwar Prabhu, the stalwart devotee behind the production of Chaitanya Charitamrita, making the so-called impossible task into possible by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So if at all, from Sunday the 14th of March, you can mark this date in your diary. And then on the 15th, when you rise, you can open the diary and write down something that, do you feel your life is the same or has it changed after the date 14th March has passed? And the reason I'm making this point is that after you hear that talk tomorrow, your life will not be the same, I can assure you. So if you can take out an hour, hour and a half of your time tomorrow, then please tune in directly into this transcendental vibration and hear the glories of how this wonderful literature, Chaitanya Charitamrita, came about. And how Srila Prabhupada, right at the crescendo of Srimad Bhagavatam, when he had begun the work on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he closed the book for some time and he moved to Chaitanya Charitamrita. So it's a very, very, very amazing, miraculous, I mean, I don't have words to explain how CC came about, but please tune into that lecture. I believe it's at 3:25 p.m. It starts tomorrow. I've shared it on the Sankirtan Forever group. I'll share it on the chat group as well. And just by hearing this, you will develop so much appreciation for this, the most profound literature in our line. Like we heard from His Grace Amrendra Prabhu the other day, we have heard from many other devotees that how Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, if you once have a bard means like the water, or what do you call bard in English? Anybody?
Is it flood, Prabhuji?
Yeah, flood, kind of flood. Yeah, when you have a flood which has seeped into your house, and now you are, from your Isle of books, you are picked up Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. And as you're walking out of that flood, the water may come till here, you can still hold the books. But when the water starts to come to your mouth and you see there's going to be a danger, you drop Bhagavad Gita, if that's your situation. Don't take it otherwise, yeah? You don't drop Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam in any case, but this is an extreme situation. And then the water has seeped in till your nose and you're going to be difficult to breathe for you, you drop Bhagavatam. And even if you're about to die, you don't drop Chaitanya Charitamrita. So the point I'm trying to make is that we hear of various wonderful examples in Bhagavatam of the various devotees, how they live their life. But in our day-to-day dealings of how practically devotees exchange, eat prasadam, how they dance, what they do, they clean the temple, beautiful verses of Bhagavatam. It's a beautiful, like other day my Guru Maharaj was sharing with us that I think Vrindavan Chand Prabhu grasped these things much better than I do. But I think it was something like, yeah, I remember. Bhagavatam is like a nectar, yeah, ambrosia. And Chaitanya Charitamrita is like a camphor. So when you put them together, I don't know the exact details of how Maharaj concluded, but these two are, so if you have Bhagavatam and you don't have Chaitanya Charitamrita, you got to have that fragrance, that camphor has to be added to ambrosia in order to bring the best out of it. So it's a bit like that. So please read Chaitanya Charitamrita, teachings of Lord Chaitanya these days as much as possible, and let's absorb our consciousness in this wonderful literature called Chaitanya Charitamrita. And I beg all of you at all of your feet that please help us distribute one set of Chaitanya Charitamrita at least. There are 32 of you on the call right now. And if each one of you, if you don't have a set, please buy a set for yourself this month. If you have a set, then find one more person who is a little bit faithful to the process of Krishna consciousness and present them this wonderful literature as a gift or encourage them to buy it. It's only 75 pounds for a pickup in either Bushy or Stanmore, or 85 pounds when you order, it will be delivered to your doorstep. And with that, you will be sent a link to download an audio of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is our life. You know, marathon goes, Mahaprabhu comes. Then we have to think of Chaitanya Charitamrita. As Chaitanya Charitamrita will be distributed, and on the concluding day of Gaur Purnima, just a week later, we will be launching our biggest Bhadra campaign for 2021, you know, back again in Srimad Bhagavatam meditation. So that's our life. So please start thinking how you can help the world by expanding Chaitanya Charitamrita. Any last comment or any couple of comments from anybody or any questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
This is Krishnavani.
Oh, Krishna Matamani. Hare Krishna. Sorry, Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhu. You might. Did you
That's
see
all right.
Kalpana?
That's all right, Mataji.
Friend of mine, he wants 2 of those CC sets, please.
You have so many friends, Mataji. You have so many friends. I can't believe, you know, every year in the Bhagavatam, you say, Prabhu, I've given it to everybody. And then you come up with another 3 or 4 friends, Mataji, who
No,
still
I
don't have
don't.
Bhagavatam. It's amazing. Yes, Mataji. So I'll share the link. It's already there on the Sankirtan Forever. Best they order it directly on the link and we will ship it, Mataji, and it will be delivered at their doorstep, actually.
They wanted to distribute it, means they don't want it.
They want to sponsor it and gift it to
Yes.
somebody. Yeah, that's fine. No problem, Mataji. We can arrange it. We are going to make a collection and then we're going to reach out to the people who may not have or cannot afford and we will give it to them.
Okay,
So they
Prabhu.
can still do that. On the same link, there is an option where they can click sponsor
Okay.
Bhagavad Gita. Oh, sorry, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mataji.
So they will be 75 pounds, yeah?
Yes, sponsorship, they
Or
can just click
85.
75 and then they can put it in the message saying it's sponsored like that, Mataji.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna,
Thank you,
Hare-
Krishna. There we go. We distributed one set of Chaitanya Charitamrita today. Thank you, Mataji.
Two, Prabhu.
Oh, 2. Wow, even better. Hari bol.
Haribol.
Anybody else for last comment? Okay, great. If not, dear devotees, we will see you all tomorrow with Vrindavan Chand Prabhu, tomorrow evening. So please think, how can I do as Prabhupada thought when he went to West? How can I fulfill the desire of my spiritual master? Just go to the meditation tonight with the bed. How can I distribute one set for Prabhupada? How can I help expand CC? And Krishna will inspire you. Tomorrow morning, you'll have an idea or a friend in mind who you can give Chaitanya Charitamrita or encourage him to buy it, actually. That's my concluding request for tonight. Please, if you can take it and go to bed with that meditation. And then by tomorrow, or if not within a week, we can distribute 30 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets because we are 30 of us here actually on the call. So on that note, maybe we can all unmute ourselves and loudly chant Go Ranga. At the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Go Ranga!
Go Ranga! Go Ranga!
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you
Hare
so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Hare
very
Krishna.
much.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.